Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today, Kirkpatrick, I think, finally has gotten some of the footage of what TODRICK really thinks of him and what he's been saying about him in the Celebrity Big Brother house. And here comes one of the postseason interviews since being evicted from 2Fab. So it says the following: Kirkpatrick calls out TODRICK Hall's Big Brother game, reveals COVID scare exclusive. He told me that I'm a horrible father and I'm going to embarrass my child, the NSYNC singer said of Hall before reacting to Chris Kattan's exit in the new HOH. Kirkpatrick was forced to say bye to Celebrity Big Brother house on Friday night after he essentially backdoored himself right out of the competition. The NSYNCer was put up for elimination by the outgoing head of household, Misha Tate, as a replacement nominee after Shayna Moakler, who won the veto competition, used her save on Carson Kressley. Unfortunately, Kirkpatrick put the target on his own back. He thought if Shayna pulled down Carson, Misha would put Todd Bridges as a pawn to get everyone to vote out Cynthia Bailey. But when Misha flat out asked Chris who he'd vote for to go home if Shayna used the veto, he wouldn't answer her directly, making her doubt their alliance before putting him up instead. Kirkpatrick was eliminated 5-0, but in his exit interview with Julie Chen, he seemed happy that he made big moves and possibly shifted the house out of Tate's favor. 2Fab caught up with Chris the morning after he was voted out, where he shared how he really feels about Misha and TODRICK Hall's gameplay, Chris Kattan's self-elimination, Cynthia and Todd's heated confrontation, and getting a false positive COVID test during filming that almost shook up the whole show. A lot went down this week for us to talk about, but let's start with you effectively backdooring yourself right out of the game. Do you have any regrets, or are you happy overall with your performance? 1000% happy. I mean, this was an outcome we knew probably would happen. I'm no longer in that crazy loony bin, and hopefully my plan is still in effect and still working, and I knew that I would be a casualty, quite possibly, of it, but I couldn't see Carson go home, especially. The only thing I regret is that I'm not there for Shayna. TODRICK and Misha have been getting a very arrogant edit where they're really sweeping through the house as if they'd already won. Is it that why you wanted to flip the house so bad? Yep, completely. That's why I wanted it. I mean, they were in the bathroom already talking about who was going to vote for them when it was time to vote for who wins Big Brother. And they were like, this person's got you and this person's got me. And I love Misha, I really do, and that's part of who she is. She's a fighter, she's got to be, tough. I think on TODRICK's part, it was a little bit, not warranted, and, he's kind of playing a game that I could have never played, but, for the most part, it is their whole apparent, and, I think the problem is, I also didn't know where I sat in this so-called alliance that we had. Julie even seemed surprised by TODRICK's farewell message to you, which was a little shady. You laughed it off, but after sitting with it for a night, are you still okay with it? I mean, I'm okay with it. It's how he wants to play. It's who he is. I mean, earlier that day, he told me, I'm a horrible father and I'm going to embarrass my child and, things like that. So I didn't put it past him. I'm sorry that he feels that way. It hurts to know that, somebody could play the game like that. But in the end, I went in hopefully trying to be honest and sincere about everything, and I walked out the door hopefully trying to be honest and sincere. And he came after me for saying that, don't try to play this high and mighty, oddest game, and you're a dirty player and a piece of crap and all this, and and all that stuff hurt. But in the end, I kept my focus. I didn't let the house break me. I didn't let anybody in there break me because, I know outside those walls, if that were on the street and he said something like that, it would be a lot different, but it isn't. And I don't like people that play victims all the time, I understand that he let us know many times that he's bullied, for him being gay and for him being black. And I never saw any of that coming in. If anything, it made me feel more comfortable. But, I don't like it when people use that as a bargaining chip or in the game, especially accusing me of being some stereotypical straight white guy. Like that's this evil person. It seems that a lot of players don't really know how the game works. As a super fan, did that make it frustrating? It makes the game a lot harder to traverse because, you're playing with people that you're trying to explain things to. I mean, when I came up with this plan, I went back and I probably shouldn't have said anything. I should have just told Shayna. But when I came up with this plan and I told Carson and Cynthia, Miss Cynthia was still angry at me. And she's like, I don't trust you. And I was like, what? You don't trust me? I'm telling you, I'm probably going to go on the block for one of you. I'm probably going to go home for one of you. I'm sacrificing my own game. what is there not to trust? Like, I'm giving it all up for you, what is there not to trust? And it was just, it was the whole, I think, not understanding it enough that, this kind of hurt when I'm going out on this giant limb and, knowing darn well that I'll probably be sitting here doing these interviews this morning. It was for their gain, to make sure that they make it far, to make sure I flip this house and stir it up. I was trying to get the other side to play too. Nobody was really, they were all just floating along, waiting for Todrick and Misha to pick them off one by one, and that wasn't fair. Now, this week, Chris Kattan also self-eliminated. How surprised were you when that happened? Have you checked in with him now that you've been eliminated? I have not checked in with him yet. I've heard that he's doing good. He flew his girlfriend out and she's here with him. And I just know that house was not conductive for the situation he was in. And it really had me worried about him as a person. And it's hard to step out of the game and really be concerned, because I think he was so confused by the game. He didn't know what was game and what was real. And, I try to be as helpful as I can without pushing myself on him or without really scaring him into thinking that it was a gameplay or something. So I was just trying to be there for him, and I'm glad he's okay, and it wasn't really surprising that he left. Viewers also saw a confrontation go down between Cynthia and Todd. Was it like that? How was that like to witness? And was that the most heated moment you witnessed? I didn't witness it. I was in the bathroom. I was chilling in the bathroom, and I heard yelling going on. I had Misha's red thing on my back or something to kind of help the pain in the back, and I heard yelling going on. I thought it was joking because, everybody yells at times. Lamar yells at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning like it's normal. So, it was just yelling to me, and it wasn't until Todd came in really huffed up and still screaming and like, F this or whatever. And I was like, wait, what? Is this real? Like, what's going on? So I really didn't understand exactly what happened. But then when I found out it was over a vote from the very first eviction, it was kind of crazy. Just so you guys know that craziness is all the time. So when something like that happens, it's like, oh, somebody's getting weird again. It's just like, it is what it is. You almost just fall back to sleep or whatever you're doing. Now, those with the live feed, spoiler alert, have seen Carson Kressley win HOH competition. Does that make you feel better about your sacrifice? 1,000,000 times. That's exactly why I did what I did. It's funny because I was still outside decompressing from the game, and all the emotions are going through my head, and I'm thinking what a jerk I am because somebody told me that I'm a horrible dad and a horrible human being, and you can't trust people like me and things like that. And all these things are going through my head, and I'm like, that was the dumbest thing ever. I saved myself for Carson, loving Carson, loving everything about him. Misha, Tate, Carson, Shayna, Cynthia. It's hard to read on Todd and Lamar and Todrick, but those people are exactly who you think they are. They're sweet, kind, just really good people. That's why I wanted to flip everything to save them, knowing that it could cost me my game. And then eventually, when I couldn't answer Misha, knowing that it pretty much cost me my game, but also knowing that Carson would be there to play on, and he was a good competitor, and he loved being in there, and I sacrificed for him. And then when I heard that he won, I was the happiest. I was happier than when I won my HOH in the house, because that's why I did it. Last question. Teddy said someone got a false positive COVID test and was pulled from the house and heavily insinuated it was you. Can you talk about it at all? Yeah, it was me. It freaked me out. I was downstairs. I had just given Todrick a hug, and we were getting COVID tests like all the time, and me and Mariah were the only two in the house that had never had COVID. So they had called me to the DR as I was still down in the bathroom, kind of joking around with Todrick or whatever, and then they called me again, like not even 2 minutes later, not even like 30 seconds later, and they called me again, and I was like, what? Normally they called us and you kind of lollygagging maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes and they call you again. But it was like 3 times in a minute and a half. So I went upstairs to get up there and I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out. Is everything okay? And that's when they tell me, just sit here. You're going to get a phone call. Like my heart just went through like, my feet. Because I was just like, is my wife okay? Is my kid okay? Is my family okay? And I was so delusional at that point and scared. I think I asked if the president was okay. And if either way, I was like, well, why would they call me if the president wasn't okay? But then they said, you got a positive on one of the COVID tests. And I was like, first of all, I feel fine. Second of all, I haven't had COVID. And third of all, I've been in this bubble for, 2 weeks now. There's no way I could have COVID. So they did a rapid test right there. It came back negative. I ended up having to leave the house for a minute. They did 2 more tests. They came back negative and found out it was just a false positive. OMG. Oh, I noticed that this interview did not discuss Mirai, so I am going to be keeping an eye out on that if that is discussed in any of these other post-show interviews. But oh my gosh, what do you guys think? I am glad that Chris Kirkpatrick sees Todrick for who he is. I'm going to have to check in with some of these other post-show interviews because I'm surprised that nobody has asked yet why Chris Kirkpatrick just didn't backdoor Todrick. Why didn't he do it? Like, he should have just let go of whatever the thing was with Mirai and just get Todrick out of there. Because now he could still have been in the house. Carson could still have his HOH. And you guys could just be focusing on getting out Misha. So, it is what it is. But let me know what you guys think. I'm glad he saw through Todrick. I hope Todrick doesn't make it to the finals, or if he does, he loses in a unanimous vote, like just like DF did. Like, I hate the whole game that Todrick is playing. He's playing this messy Derek F game, as well as he tried to pull a Kylan on Chris Kirkpatrick and call him a horrible father and all this and that. Like, it was just too much. Like, why are you doing all this stuff? Like, you're just alienating more fans. You're making more fans loathe you and not stand you and just root against you. Like, it's just unnecessary. I don't understand why Todrick Hall keeps going on these reality shows and then completely just crapping the bed, just completely making his rep, his brand 100 and 1,000 times worse. Like, what does he expect to happen after he gets out the house this time? Like, I'm just curious. Like, it was just completely uncalled for and out of bounds for a lot of his behavior in the house. He has been so nasty to every single person except for Misha, and has said completely disgusting things that were out of bounds, that crossed the line, and it's like, for why? And even as somebody, you know, like, I'm disgusted that he is even trying to bring up being black and being bullied and everything else. And he's up here throwing other black people under the bus. He's up here saying that Todd is snoring his way through the competition. He's calling Cynthia top chef and that she's Susie homemaker and baking all this stuff. And then he's up here coming for Lamar. Like, he's coming for his other fellow black people in the house. And then he's got black people staying in his mansion. He's got, like, most of the cookout right now house sitting in his mansion. And even people from BB Canada came down to also hang out at his mansion. Meanwhile, he is bashing black people every single day, real time on the live feeds. Like, make it make sense. There is no way I'm going to be sitting up in somebody else's mansion who hates me, who hates people who look like me. Not going to happen at all. Nope. I would get a hotel so fast. I would stay at an Airbnb somewhere else so fast. Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. There is no way I would be supporting somebody who is a self-hater like that and who is directly saying insulting and disgusting things about people who look like me. Oh, no. I would never want to be associated with that at all. And it's obvious that Todrick does not have real friends or anybody. Or why didn't even he fly in his family? He doesn't trust his family to house at his mansion. Like, it's just very bizarre. And the fact that it has to be people from the cookout from the most recent season should tell you he doesn't have friends. He does not have actual friends as long as he's been in LA. And that should tell you everything that you need to know, that everything for him is about chasing clout and chasing fame and nothing else and nothing more. So those are all my thoughts. Let me know what you think about this article. I, of course, link it in the description box so you guys can check it out and see what else Chris Kirkpatrick has to say. Like, oh, that was like a tongue twister. Like I said, I will keep track of what else is taking place with these postseason interviews to see if anything else is juicy that Chris Kirkpatrick says. And we will stay to it. We will stay on top of things with the Celebrity Big Brother stuff because this season really just picked it up a notch. I honestly think, you know, Chris could have still stayed, but he screwed up his own HOH. So at the same token, we're finally getting fun feeds as long as Carson Kressley does what he's supposed to do and put up Misha and Todrick. Like, if he doesn't do that, like, I just feel like it's such a gamble overall to not. So we'll see what takes place from here. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.